Okay, Shalom Akim, Kahalayim La Yahabashim Yashab Bashar Hakudash, and double on Instagram as apostles. Without the hour, without the Yashab for the strength in order to make this video. And Yaratazar, they also edified from this video, which means to be built up. So, just to get straight to the point, don't want to make this too long either. Apostle Dahar made a video a few days back. This is his channel here. What is the 666 Mark II? And as it says here, hold on, let me check something. Yeah, but that's his channel there right there. It says, as he named the title, Christians are demons that will not be saved. Only the elect of Israel will be saved, man. So that's the predestined men, the servants of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, of whom will be saved. Of him will really go through that salvation, man, the strangeness of his salvation, referring back to Wisdom of Solomon 5, to get to those chariots. So, really, the point of this video, as I named it, is based upon tattoos, man, making markings upon your skin. I'm going to just read out the title again. So, even Esau's reasoning, hold on, shows why skin markings are unlawful, man. So even Esau's reasoning exposes it in terms of obviously the internet research. And Yaratazam, I'm also link another video too, or play another video. So who knows, man? It might be a little bit long. Whenever I say it might be short, it could be long as well. But anyways, let's continue with this. And then Yaratazam will bring out precepts. And, we'll see what happens. Could be long, could be short.
Yep, and they hear thy words, but they will not do them. Right, they hear our word, but they won't do them. He got tattoos all over his body, all on his legs, everywhere. He got all kind of tattoos, sleeves on his legs. He ain't here to hear the word. He might be wanting to listen and be entertained by, but he ain't trying to repent. And he heard the message already. He even lied.
Now, he mentioned that he was tattoos. Now, watch what he's going to say. Now,
Not about that, man. Go ahead, bro. Keep going. For what I did. Yeah, you did. Never showed much love, but their heart goes after. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Well, you probably had them for a long time, but it don't matter. You said what you're supposed to say is they're bad. Don't get any more. You're not supposed to.
What is that in the scriptures? Do you know they have that? You know how much it costs to get tattoos? It's a lot of money to have tattoos. You just can't go to tattoo artists and get tattoos and you leave and you don't pay nothing. You got to pay a lot of money. It takes time. You in there for hours, all right, getting them tattoos, and you got to pay money. Now,
it's true, man. If you actually do research about these tattoos, which is what I was doing as well, as soon as Apostle Tahar mentioned this, I decided, okay, you know what, I've got to make a video on this too, where if you probably in certain documentary or certain videos on YouTube, you see that there's actually a needle that's poked. Some of them are electronic, some of them do it by the skill of hand, but the electronic ones are normally it's like they move up and down, they oscillate, if that's the right word to say. They oscillate, they move up and down, consistently, of course, putting ink, piercing into the skin. And of course, people need to sit down or stay in a certain position, to get a tattoo wherever they're targeting on the body. And of course, with that guy there, he would have had to sit down for hours or lie down for hours in order to have those tattoos filled in his body, man. It's just to have some clarity. Just to get some clarity that we're not supposed to be having markings on our skin. It's part of the law as well. I'm going to get 2 precepts here first. So Leviticus 19 and 28. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord Yahweh. So that print any marks upon you is self-explanatory. Don't get any tattoos or markings upon your skin. And tattoos, of course, this is any Israelite that does that is really, offending the Most High. Now, of course, to bring the balance here, there are brothers who had tattoos before, and of course, right now enter the truth. Now, when I say before, I'm talking about before the truth, man. And of course, it's not as if you could just quickly remove him. Now, we know that there's laser surgery, but, not all brothers are in that position to do something like that anyways, man. In order to remove them tattoos. But the point being is, this is why we're under the grace of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. But the point here is the fact that when because we got the demon here that Apostle Dahar was talking about, of whom had those tattoos, had these tattoos over him, man. But he ain't trying to repent anyways, or else someone who's actually genuinely trying to repent and is ashamed from those tattoos, he'll be trying to cover it up. Like, there's this scientist called Andrew Huberman. There was actually a video of him saying why he wears black shirts or something like that. And he said it was to cover up all his tattoos. He was wearing black shirts, black trousers, to cover up his tattoos. Let me see if I can even find that. Hold on. I just found a video based upon this neuroscientist called Andrew Huberman. At times I do watch his podcast. Can be very, very useful in terms of the improvement of one's life. You could see that as a generalized statement. In terms of how you can learn, how music affects you, what else? How diet and exercise affects you. Things of that type of a category that he does, man. And some other deep stuff like psychology too. So the psychology of smell, all sorts of things, man. But the point is, he's a neuroscientist, and I wanted to play the clip on him saying the reason why he covers up his tattoo, as you can see here. This is on the, what's it called? Oh yeah, Chris Williamson channel, which is another podcaster. And he mentioned, as the title goes, Andrew Huberman reveals why he hides his tattoos. So, let me play the clip because it's got quite a few reasons here.
To these guys, I thought, like someday I want full sleeves. I've got full sleeves. I'm basically like neck to wrist.
So chest piece as well?
Yeah, but yeah,
back?
Chest covered. Back's covered, yeah. Nothing on my legs, nothing on my stomach, ribs, yeah. The tops of my shoulders. And I got a big picture of Costello, my dog, back there. I've got a picture of his paw back there. I've got a picture of another dog I used to have. There's still some space for a few things. There's some things very personal to me.
Is that the reason that you prefer not to show them?
Yeah, I think that there are a couple of reasons. I'll just be clear as to why. First of all, when I show up to podcast, it's the same way I show up to lecture in the classroom auditorium. And I swear on my life, this is my mindset and this is my mantra when I do it. I'm there to teach. It's not about me. It's about the student. It's about the people learning. I don't want it ever to be about me. I don't want the focus to be on me. I mean, obviously I'm the voice and the person talking, but I really want people to internalize the information. And I do think that the tattoos, because they have nothing to do with the information, are a distraction. They're just a distraction. I don't know. It would sort of like be wearing like a bright yellow shirt or something. It's not my style. I prefer to kind of make myself disappear as much as I can.
You can see that's the humble spirit that the Most High placed upon him, man. People of whom are, of course, truly about their business, because obviously his lot is to teach people, in this field of neuroscience, and to bring people of whom can be related to that field on his podcast, man. To essentially just teach people, man, increase their wisdom in that field of things, neuroscience. So really, that's the humble spirit that the Most High put upon him, man. And if I recall correctly as well, this guy's actually a Jake, believe it or not, because he's from, I think his father's from Argentina. Yeah, his father's from Argentina, man. I heard that one time in a clip. So he's actually Jake, man. He's an Israelite. So You know, the point being is the Most High put a humble spirit upon. This is an example of a person of whom doesn't want to show off them tattoos, man. Notice how he's wearing a black shirt, and that other guy, you know, the demon that Apostle Hall was making a video on, you know, was wearing white, man. And if you actually think about it, white actually exposes what's actually within the underneath, you know, the skin. You know, so that's a fact right there. So point being is that a person of whom really wanted to repent, they would cover up those tattoos at least if they can't afford those that flipping laser surgery, man, which of course would be, I don't even know, probably in the upper thousands, man. I might even search that up as well. But before that, you know, let me just play a little bit more.
And let the information come forward. That's, you know, even when I gave scientific lectures, which I still do, of course, for my professor job, I generally liked the room to be pretty dark, and I wanted the light to be on the data, on the slides.
See, that's the point. You know, the point is to teach, man. You know, that's what we're also taught to do as well. You know, preach Yahweh Shai. Let the focus be upon Yahweh Shem Yahshai, and let the precepts speak, which is the words of Yahweh Shem Yahshai. You know, not to go off topic here, but that's an example of the humble spirit. He's doing that, but of course in the sense of his lectures, man. You know, but anyways, you know, that's the point on Andrew Huberman. You know, as the video is called, Andrew Huberman reveals why he hides his tattoos. Yeah, so that the focus is not on him. You know, because they're just distractions at the end of the day. As I think even Apostle Tahar mentioned about let me go back to the other video. Hold on. So as you can see here, you know, the guy's wearing white. And, you know, obviously the quality is low, but, you know, Elder Manata Zakbar has noticed the tattoos there. And, you know, if you really want to, as we saw from Andrew Huberman, he wears black, man, you know, to cover it up, because black actually is harder to see through than the color white. But this guy don't care.
But their heart goes after. Any tattoos of mine? I'm sorry, go ahead. Well, you probably had them for a long time, but it don't matter. You said what you're supposed to say is they're bad. Don't get any more. You're not supposed to.
What is that in the scriptures? Do you know they have that? You know how much it costs to get tattoos? It's a lot of money to have tattoos. You just can't go to tattoo artists and get tattoos and you leave and you don't pay nothing. You got to pay a lot of money. It takes time. You in there for hours, all right, getting them tattoos, and you got to pay money. Now there's a way to remove those tattoos. So why don't you dedicate that same power into getting them tattoos removed, if you will?
And yeah, it's true, man. I remember a few years back when they said they revealed that now you could get laser surgery to remove tattoos. I was like, damn, okay, so you lot who got tattoos now, you know, you got a chance. But at the end of the day, man, you know, the point is to obey Yahweh Shem Yahshai when he's giving you this truth, man, so that you just forsake all of that stuff, all those worldly things. So yeah, again, reiterating the point, you know, if you really want to repent, he would have been wearing clothes to cover them up, man. You know, that shows the shame and humility under the power of Yahweh Shem Yahshai, man. You know, and again, man, through the Spirit, Andrew Huberman is actually a Jake as well. You know, as I said, father from Argentina. You know, so yeah, man. Anyways, let's continue.
Honest about.
Prior to continue, let's get another precept. Same one, but you know, this was like a alternative. Leviticus chapter 21 and verse 5. They shall not make boldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. When you look at how tattoos are done, it is making multiple cuttings in the flesh, man. That's why the place it swells up, I'll say, you know, on a micro level. That's why the place gets red, especially when Edomites get tattoos as well. But that's why blood rushes to the area, man. You know, I'm gonna play that video soon too, but I just wanted to let Apostle Tahar make his point here.
Honest about that. If you want to repent Remember, they went from being being circumcised to being the scriptures tell you about being uncircumcised, putting your rod. That's what they actually did, which is hard to believe, because Apostle Ramla did a video and he went into it and he said they were actually taking shit to put back on. I said I don't know how true that is. I'll just go with what he said. I'm not gonna go into deep convo on it. But this guy's got tattoos, and he said, "Well, look, he's proud of them tattoos because guess what? He's wearing a T-shirt so you can see tattoos."
I remember the other Jake, Andrew Huberman, of whom he was wearing a black shirt to cover them because he knew there would be a distraction. And obviously it's a reflection of the humble spirit as well. But this guy right here is showing off, this demon right here is showing off his tattoos in pride, as Apostle Tahar just stated. And again, that's representative. That's shown through the white shirt, and white shorts that he's wearing as well.
He's wearing shorts so you can see tattoos. If some girl says, "Oh, I like your tattoo," "Oh, thank you, sister, I got this," He's proud of them tattoos. That's a conversation piece, them tattoos. Because if you were ashamed of what you did in the past and having tattoos, you would wear long pants. And don't tell me, "Well, it's hot out there, I need shorts."
It's true. That's literally what Andrew Huberman does, man. I'm just using him as an example, by the way. If Jake actually had some reasoning, he would have been moving the same way to cover up. The same way you see Andrew Huberman. At least you just tap up the podcast, man. You're going to see that all of his podcasts, he's wearing black. Rarely do you even see him expose himself, unless it's like during his younger days or he's doing some sports or something. But anyways, point being is that Jake got a reason, man. They got a reason with the scriptures, but they can't. You know why they can't do that? Because obviously, first of all, the Most High has dumbed down Jake. As we know in Isaiah 1, verse 3. The earth knoweth his owner, but Israel does not consider. But I want to get another one as well. Obviously, the one we all know. Isaiah 4 and verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power. You see, part of the law of Yahweh is to not make markings upon our skin. We just read that in Leviticus 19 and verse 28. I will also forget thy children. So of course, the knowledge of these scriptures is to be attained for our own guidance as well. That's the wisdom of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. So let's continue.
It's hot out there, I need shorts. Well, wait a minute. You got this Edomite with long pants. I wear long pants. I gave out an order where brothers in GMS are not supposed to be wearing short pants, man. I don't want to see your calves. I don't see your thighs. Name me a time where I ever wore shorts, period. I wear long pants. I don't give a damn how hot it is, man. So you dressed a certain way to show your tattoos off, man.
Come on, man. In this truth, you learn a lot of things, man. You learn a lot of things. So the point is through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua that we have mercy, because we can't keep all the laws, but the ones that we can, like the Sabbath, and of course wearing trousers instead of essentially instead of shorts, to cover up, that we can do, and of course a few more others as well, such as diet and some other things. Well, through the mercy of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua and the grace of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, that's how we're gonna make it to the kingdom, man. Because this society ain't ideal for following all the laws, not just the society, but also this flesh. But anyways, let's continue.
Time where I ever wore shorts, period. I wear long pants. I don't give a damn how hot it is, man. So you dressed a certain way to show your tattoos off, man. Who you think you lying to? Who you think you talking to? This guy's a straight up demon. And plus the long hair. What's this guy? Adam Coleman got long dreads. The apostle, you haven't read 1 Corinthians chapter 11? You haven't read that? You got guys in Israel that wear fitted caps and hoodies. Now, if it's cold, you in the winter, you can put the hood over. Don't cover your whole head, but you can kind of have it covering the back of your neck, right about here. This guy's not one of us. He's not of the elect. He's not going to make it. He's going to die. He's going to get the chip, and he's going to die. In that order, he's going to get the chip, and then he's going to die. If he don't die before that.
Well, you're right. You're right. Well, I ain't condemning you for having them. I'm condemning you for your lack of honesty. Lack of knowledge. Lack of honesty, but knowledge.
Yeah, but you verse it, bro. Who was this? Was that Zacharias? It wasn't that he told the Lord, anything I stole from people, I'm going to pay it back fourfold. You're going to make it right. In other words, the scriptures say in Ezekiel 33, restore the pledge. Meaning go back to the laws, meaning if you got tattoos, you got money to get them tattoos. I don't know how many $1,000 you spend on these tattoos, on these intricate tattoos, which takes hours to do. And you get pain in it. This is painful too. It's a restore the pledge, meaning get them tattoos removed. And I've been out there. They got people that can remove tattoos. You don't.
That is obviously if you can, Apostle Tahari, as you've heard from him just now, you can go on his channel to see it. Top left. What is the 666 Mark II GMS Truth? If you can, that's essentially saying you can go get that laser surgery to remove him, man. Because that's really what it comes down to. But of course, if you can't, pray for mercy, man. Because through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yashar, Yaratazar, that He will have mercy on you. Because again, we say by the grace, which means favor of Yahweh Hashem Yashar, and mercy, of course.
You want to remove the tattoos because you want to be the devil. You want to be a demon.
Let me because the thing about tattoos, we got to break this down, man. The thing about tattoos is, as the little punctures from the needle, most of them use electronic ones nowadays, but from the little punctures of the needle that is put upon the skin, depending on the area, certain parts of the body have more thicker layers of skin than the other ones. The point is, as the punctures happen, that's when the areas become inflamed, hence why they're red. The reason why they're red is because the white blood cells, as an immune response, actually gathers around those areas because it's a foreign substance. It's ink, remember. And this ink also has certain materials inside too, like metals and chemicals and whatnot, which isn't really good for the body. I actually took a screenshot from a video from a commenter in another video when I was doing research on these tattoos as well, on how they work and then why they fade away and whatnot. And he was speaking facts, man. But I'm gonna show the screenshot of the comment soon, but let me continue my point. So yeah, that's the white blood cells surrounding the tattoo because it's trying to engulf, to swallow up the ink, man. That's why over time, those who have tattoos, it has a fadey color because as one white blood cell that's there, it's done its role, it dies out, another one comes to replace it, and when another one replaces it, it tries to engulf the ink that's from the old one, but in that procedure, a little bit of ink gets dissipated in that area, hence the fading. And also spending time in the sun fades it as well. So, I'm pretty much just repeating the point that I got from the video, man. So, really, all in all, if you imagine it, let's say your body's spending all this time, you're taxing your immune system to produce white blood cells just to absorb the ink, pretty much 24/7. By absorbing the ink and taxing your immune system, therefore, you're going to increase your stress levels, man. Stress levels go up, which means the immunity that you need for the real things, the real infections and bacteria that your body should be fighting for, is allocated in vain, man. For these flipping darn tattoos. So, through these markings, as the scriptures say, Leviticus 19:28 and Leviticus 21 and verse 5, through these markings, that could be seen as something to also weaken the immune system, because you're still taxing it, since your body's constantly trying to flipping deal with the ink, the foreign substance, man. So there's a reason why it's in the laws, man. Don't put any cuttings in your skin. That's one thing. And don't put any don't print any marks upon yourself. So let's get to the other video that I said before I get back to this. God, this is also another channel of whom you find some interesting videos, man, in terms of like the effect of smoking and some other shit as well. But it says, Institute of Human Anatomy, what tattoos do to the skin. So let's get to it.
Ink is being deposited into the dermal layer, and a lot of that ink is going to get suspended in that collagen matrix. And some of it will be even taken up by those fibrocytes, or those cells I mentioned earlier. But that's not the only thing that's going on here. You see, during tattooing, a needle is puncturing the skin at anywhere from 50 to 3,000 times.
You see, that's what I was talking about. They got electronic ones, which just puncture, they oscillate, they move up and down, up and down, up and down, just piercing the skin. Now listen to what he says.
Up by those fibrocytes, or those cells I mentioned earlier. But that's not the only thing that's going on here. You see, during tattooing, a needle is puncturing the skin at anywhere from 50 to 3,000 times per minute. That's creating trauma, as well as injecting a foreign substance.
You see? Notice how he said that's creating trauma. I remember when Apostle also made a video a few months back, if not last year, where there was this, it's probably some Pop the Balloon show or something, where a woman was there and then she was full of tattoos. Of course, not too heavy where it's like it covers the face, but point is the rest of her body was full of tattoos, man. And it's a symbol of trauma as well, man. It's a symbol of trauma. That's why Apostle Paul was like, nope, don't even dare deal with that type of woman. Before you start having to start deal with heavier demons than you were even dealing with before. But yeah, the point is, as he said right there, man, it creates trauma, man. Trauma for the body, and not just that, for the mental as well.
You see, during tattooing, a needle is puncturing the skin at anywhere from 50 to 3,000 times per minute. That's creating trauma, as well as injecting a foreign substance into the skin.
Now, hold on, let me get the definition of trauma. So for psychological trauma, it says psychological trauma is a mental health condition that results from an event that's so stressful it overwhelms a person's ability to process it emotionally. So imagine that for the body though. It says trauma, for the Google definition, a deeply distressing or disturbing experience, man. It says also here, physical injury. All those punctures, always it's piercing the skin. That's physical injury. So imagine doing that multiple times across the body. or in a certain area of the body, of course there's going to be physical injury. That's why the place becomes inflamed. So it says a deeply distressing and or disturbing experience, man. So of course, women of whom be getting these tattoos, it's a sign of trauma as well. That could also be the same thing for men too. All right, let's continue.
Creating trauma, as well as injecting a foreign substance into the skin. Now, usually when our body deals with trauma or a foreign substance gets introduced, our immune system has something to say about that, and the inflammatory process gets activated. Now, we could do a whole video just on the process of inflammation, but one of the main take-home points for us is that inflammation is getting white blood cells to the site of injury, infection, or to deal with foreign substances. And that's what happens during the tattoo process. White blood cells get called to the area, they'll leave these blood vessels and then go roam through the tissue, which is a really interesting thing because these cells, specifically these white blood cells called macrophages, are these little engulfers. In other words, they engulf or take up foreign substances. That could be viruses, that could be bacteria, dead tissue, and debris. But in this case, they start trying to engulf the ink. Now, that engulfment process is a technical term called phagocytosis. And typically, once a white blood cell phagocytizes or engulfs something, it starts to break it down and digest it. However, it's used to breaking down and digesting biological substances. Ink can include dye, plastics, and even solids that our immune system or our white blood cells are not really equipped to break down very well or digest. So what's the solution? We think with some of the research that's leading to this is instead of being able to break it down because they can't, it's more of like, let's isolate it and contain it and not let this ink go to other areas of the body. So that's pretty crazy to think about. Those white blood cells getting some of that ink from the collagen, they'll even engulf some of the dead fibrocytes, and that ink stays in them, and you can see that through the surface of the skin. And the idea is that those white blood cells just kind of stay put there. And if you're like me, you're kind of thinking,
did you have a car on finance with Black Horse anytime since 2007? At Complex Law.
Ed eccoci arrivati a Flamingo Beach.
And if you're like me, you're kind of thinking, white blood cells don't last a person's lifetime. So how is that staying there for the majority of this tattoo or for the length of a person's life? Because tattoos are relatively permanent. What they have started to find is that when the macrophages that engulf the ink, when they die, they release the ink. And then guess what happens? A new macrophage comes in and engulfs that ink. So it's almost like this engulf, release, this kind of cyclic process that happens to maintain the tattoo in that area. But remember I mentioned the whole idea, at least the going theory is we're going to just contain the...
Yeah, man, I watched this video and, that's the point that I made previously. I just got it from this guy. So you live and learn, man.
Fades with time. So there's a couple of going theories with this. One is that as a macrophage dies and releases that ink, the new incoming macrophage engulfs most of the ink. And some of the smaller broken down ink particles will get taken away into the lymphatic vessels. We know that some of the ink gets into the lymphatic system because they've done biopsies on distant...
And the lymphatic system that he speaks of, that includes it's part of the immune system. It helps to balance fluids, the liquids of the body. It helps also to clear out toxins as well, through that fluid too. And it just helps to protect your body, man. Put it in a state of homeostasis. And again, it's a strong part of the immune system. Let's just say that it's a strong part of the immune system. And he's saying there that the lymph nodes, or the lymphocytes, I can say, which are just cells which are just a type of white blood cell, actually collects part of that ink as well, man. So all of this is just toxicity in the body. And the Most High said in the law to prevent all of that.
lymph nodes and found tattoo ink in there. So that is likely contributing to the fading of tattooing over time. Granted, other things like UV light can fade tattoos and break the ink down, but that's one of the ideas of how these are relatively permanent with some changes over time. Now, one other thing I need to address. Some of you may be thinking,
Yeah, so that's really the point there. That's the point there. Can get back to the video.
Meaning, go back to the laws, meaning if you got tattoos, you got money to get them tattoos. I don't know how many $1,000 you spend on these tattoos, on these intricate tattoos, which takes hours to do. And you get pain in it, this is painful too. It's a restore the pledge, meaning get them tattoos removed. And I've been out there. They got people that can remove tattoos. You don't want to remove the tattoos because you want to be the devil. You want to be a demon.
I don't. I'm trying to learn about you guys. You trying to? You already know about it, though. You already know about it.
He got a ring. What do you call it? An eye ring or whatever. He's of the world. This dude is straight up of the world, man.
I know about. Yeah, you said you want to learn about it. Nah, you know what I'm here for. You got a friend that knows about. He's the one that told me to come here. Why he tell you that? He should have told you about it. Yeah. I think you're 31. Where you from? 31. Where you from? Where you from? I'll call you later. See, now you got to check.
Now you want to be. This guy's a true. He's got to be down with vocab. He got the same demon that vocab got on him, man. This dude, the elder asked him a question. He gonna ignore him. This dude's a demon, man. With his long hair and his tattoos. Talking about, I'm not a Christian, but he got Jesus written on the shirt.
Yeah, it's pure hypocrisy, man. But I just wanted to mention that point. Yara Tazar. It's a lot that, went a bit longer than initial. But, as I said, man, you live and you learn. Because these tattoos... Oh, hold on. Let me get a few precepts, then I'm going to show that screenshot that I said I was going to show earlier on. So Proverbs 9 and 10. The fear of the Lord Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. The knowledge of the holy, which holy means separate, is understanding. So if Israelites actually had the fear fundamentally of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, they would know not to do these, not to follow the heathens in their ways, or which are against Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, which is again more so focusing on the tattoos. If they truly had the fear of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, that would not be a thing that they'll get into, man. That's also what's it called? It's a diminishment as well of one's vessel. When I say diminishment, because the toxins and all that reduces the potency of one's spirit, man. You have, specifically the vessel, but we also say the spirit as well, because the things you consume also does affect how your state of spirit as well, man. That's why one day you may eat fruit, you get charged up, because fruits have electrolytes, so they charge you up, you feel good. But then the next day, maybe, let's say if you had like a more sugar, for that day, however means that may come, maybe like a chocolate cookie or something, you start to realize, oh damn, you feel lazy and lackadaisical and low vibration, man. So really, what you intake, even if it means on your skin, that does affect you as well. That does affect you. So brothers gotta do their research, do what you can. For example, instead of baby oil, try out coconut oil. Some brothers also use olive oil, man. Me personally, through Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, use coconut oil, man. But to each brother with what they can do. So I ain't judging. So, but you gotta use the knowledge, man. You gotta use the knowledge. Alright, so yeah, Proverbs 9 and 10. The fear of the Lord Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. So yeah, the fear of the Lord is the fundamental there, and you have to understand the scriptures to know how to actually move in this life. The scriptures are a life book, man. Alright, so I said the screenshot. Let me get it. Okay, cool. So in that other video where you had the science guy explaining it, not the science, but Institute of Human Anatomy. Thought for the reminder. You know, that guy there was a commenter when I was scrolling to see what people are saying. And then obviously this caught my eye. So it said there, not just the skin. He said after tattooing, a part of the injected tattoo inks leaves the skin via the wounded surface. So a part of the injected tattoo ink leaves the skin via the wounded surface. It says pigment particles remain in the dermis, which is part of the layers of the skin. You have the epidermis, that's the top layer, dermis, which is the middle, and I think the bottom one is forgot the name, man, but it's more so fatty. It's got more fat cells. That's the bottommost layer. And it says here pigment particles remain in the dermis and absorb light in a specific spectral range, causing the color of the tattoo. You know, so a certain I remember this is bringing me back to the days of physics, man. You know, of light spectroscopy, measuring the ranges of light. Anyways, so a specific spectral range. So, you know, let's say, just for simplicity, a certain portion of light, you know, is absorbed, I'll say. That's what it means by a specific spectral range. Causing the color of the tattoo, another fraction of the injected tattoo ink is removed from the skin passively via lymph or blood vessels. So those lymph nodes, those lymphocytes, you know, they also, the lymphatic system as a whole takes up the task of trying to deal with this ink. It says or blood vessels, or is actively transported by migrating cells. So this poison just circulates the body. As a result, tattoo pigments are found in the local lymph nodes, but are likely also transported to other organs, such as liver, lungs, or kidney. Experiments with mice suggest that pigment particles of tattoo suspensions are picked up by Kupffer cells inside the liver, as indicated in the detection of particles via electron microscopy. You know, so again, more physics there when it comes to studying studying cells, sometimes studying light as well. Really trying to remember my the knowledge from physics. But yeah, tattoo inks are suspensions that may contain up to 100 different chemical compounds that may or may not be added intentionally. So yeah, all that is just poison and toxins, those metals. It says the coloring pigment is mixed with solvents. Actually, let's rewind. In this first paragraph here where it says, as a result, let's start from there. So as a result, tattoo pigments are found in the local lymph nodes, but are likely also transported to other organs, as liver, lungs, or kidney. So when people start to suffer certain things, it's like, you know, it was from a tattoo they had years ago. Could have been that, man, because of all that flipping ink. Especially when you get people say because it's cheap or all of that. But at the end of the day, the law says what it says. The Most High says not to get these things, man. So Israelites getting these things, you already know that they're going to be more subject to that anyways, because the Most High could easily use that as a punishment. You know, liver cancer, you know, some kind of a disease with lungs, something related to the kidney. Yeah, it's madness. All right, let's see. I think there was something else. Let's see. Just to get straight to the point. I'm gonna start from potential hazardous properties of chemicals. So it says here, hold on. Potential hazardous properties of chemicals in tattoo inks include carcinogenic. You know, when you hear of carcinogens, always remember it means things that produce cancer or aid. It helps in the cancer cells growing in the body. Immunotoxic, you know, things that are bad for the immune system, and sensitizing properties. Tattoo inks containing hazardous chemicals are frequently found on the European market. The major substances of concern detected in analyzed samples are polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, primary aromatic amines, heavy metals, and preservatives. Which are called these things. I haven't really searched up polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons or aromatic amines, man, but you could already tell just from even the word heavy metals and preservatives, the shit ain't good, man. It is not good. So it says additionally, German studies have found that tattooed individuals have higher rate of liver disease occurring within 10 years of tattooing. Let's search that up as well. Right, so this is what I searched. It says, do people with tattoos have a higher chance of cancer based off of that commenter on the video? AI overview. While there's ongoing research into potential link between tattoos and certain cancers, especially lymphoma, the evidence isn't conclusive and more research is needed. Some studies have suggested a 21% higher risk of malignant lymphoma among the tattooed individuals. It says, but this could be due to various factors, including lifestyle habits like smoking. Other studies have found no clear link between the tattoos and cancer, or have noted that the risk is only elevated in specific cases, such as within 2 years of getting a tattoo. Yeah, because those 2 years is enough time for the body to be taxed. The immune system, as I mentioned before, to be taxed heavily. It's that your body is just constantly having to produce a higher rate of white blood cells to deal with the darn ink in the body, the toxic ink in the body, man. So yeah, as it says, 21% higher rate of malignant lymphoma. Let's search what that is as well. I searched that before, but there's this type of cancer that's involved with the lymphatic system, which means your immune system will be really low. So non-Hodgkin lymphoma is a type of cancer that affects the lymphatic system. So yeah, I recall correctly. Through the power of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. So a network of vessels and glands found throughout your body. So yeah, it affects the lymphatic system, and the lymphatic system, see it as a portion of the immune system, man. It helps to have balance in the body and also clear out toxins too. So yeah, lymphoma, man. It says they have a higher risk, 21% higher risk of malignant lymphoma among tattooed individuals. So yeah, let's get back. But that's really the point, really. That's really the point in terms of the video.
And to talk, you want to talk. Where you from? Where are you from? You guys. Where?
Yeah, that's really the point of the video, Kim. I'm gonna try and link the video at the end of in the description, man. But let's see if I'm gonna get another precepts. Let's see. Okay, so this is Psalm 64 and verse 6. They search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them and heart is deep, man. So Esau knows what he's doing when he puts all these tattoo shops everywhere for young ones to go to, people to go to. It's like when you then look at the research and then see the long-term effects, it's like, damn. People of whom don't have the knowledge, they're finished, man. If they just go off the whim and get a darn clout, tattoo, man. Which really, at the end of the day, Israel, if they had the wisdom of the scriptures, which is the wisdom of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, they would know not to do this. Because, of course, you can't trust your enemy. You know why? Because Esau Edom is the board of wickedness. So, Malachi 1:4, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. And that's why the Esau Edom right there, that shows that they are the wicked. And the people against whom the Most High Yahweh hath indignation forever. Righteous anger. So that's the point there, Kim. If you wanna watch the video, I'm gonna link it in the description, man. So even Esau's reasoning proves why tattoos are unlawful, man, because that stuff, foreign substances in the body, does not make sense. Why do you think that he uses the juice in 2021, 2022 during the demic? Try and get to people, man. Breaking the putting substances to go through the blood-brain barrier with that flipping test, that goes up the nose and the mouth. There's a reason why they were doing that, man. All you gotta do is just go and BitChute. You'll see some things. So I'll end off there. Shalom, Yabashim Shah, Brakatha.